Think we're live, yeah?
Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Live.
I think so. It's just us staring at everybody right now. So
That's right. If you are attending, if you can just comment and let us know that you can hear us, and then we will get started. Check 1, 2.
30 people. See Brandon Kennedy in there. I see you hiding in there, Brandon. Delancey. Oh yeah, we got some friends. Got some friends hanging. Lori, you're in here as well.
Got Barry Adelman too.
Barry Adelman.
Peggy Hill is in here. Abby is in here. Good to see you, Abby. Me and Haver were just talking about you actually. So this morning.
All right. So everyone can hear us. Let's go ahead and get started. Peter, I'll hand it off to you.
Cool. Well, thanks, Mal. Welcome, everybody. Fired up about this session. We have a rock star panel of folks to talk through what is a very topical, very important subject matter, which is how can the right AI tools help improve outcomes at your business? So, Mel, if you want to just go to the next slide, I figured we'd start with some brief intros. So I can kick it off. Hi, everyone. I think a lot of you know me. Peter McLaughlin, CEO at Sierra. Been with the business for 2+ years at this point. I've gotten to know Greg Delaire really well during my time here. Justin has become a really important thought partner to Sierra as we continue to chart our technology vision. And then Drew is one of the leaders on Ryan Young's team, who's been a customer at Sierra for a long time too. So Greg, I'll leave it to you to do the next intro and we can go from there.
Yeah, wait, so, really quick before Greg goes, I've never heard you say, I've like literally never known how to say your last name until you just
there
said
you
it
go.
there. I'm always like
no
telling
one gets
Siri,
it right.
Like, call Peter McGallaghan.
Yeah.
He literally never understands. So
yep,
thank
it's
you.
a nasally Scottish name that no one gets right. So I'm not offended.
Yeah, so I'm Green Bay Greg. We're based in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We've got a team of 13 agents and 3 full-time employees. Been with Sierra Interactive coming up on almost 3 years. Been in the real estate tech space since, well, we launched our independent real estate brokerage in 2011. And how we've been able to get to where we are is by really embracing technology to have some of the most productive agents in the country. We've averaged between 34 to 51 sales per agent for the last 9 consecutive years. It's not about having the most agents, it's about having the most productive agents.
That is wild.
So excited to be here with this group.
Cool. Who's next? Drew?
Hey guys, I'm Drew Frost. I am the director of lead gen for Appointments Now. We are actually an ISA company that partners with large teams across the United States. Ryan Young and the Young team is as Justin mentioned, is one of our partners, and Grady Real Estate out of Springfield, Missouri, another longtime Sierra user. And so just really excited to be here and talk about conversion. You know, we're big on lead conversion. The teams that we're usually partnering with are doing between 400 to 500 transactions a year. And a lot of time with really small crews, like Grady Real Estate's doing that with 5, producing agents. So I'm just talking about how we're using these tools to help convert these deals.
Dude, and your feedback that you've given is incredible. You are a wealth of knowledge for lead conversion. So awesome to have you, man.
Thank you.
And I'm Justin Benson, CEO of Shilo, AI sales coach that you guys are all here to see here in a bit. And what people really initially know me and us for is this company called Barra Agency, fractional CTO, Chief Technology Officer, for a lot of the very, very large format teams that exist on the planet. So this actually came about as a project at a Barra Agency, which I'll explain in a little bit. So good to be here with everyone.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. All right, Mal, if you want to move to the next slide. So most of you know Sierra. There are some of you on the call that may not. This will be really brief, but wanted to provide an overview and I think a good segue into part of the rationale behind the Shilo Sierra partnership. So Sierra is a platform for real estate teams. It's a combination of SEO-powered IDX websites and a CRM with a bunch of unmatched functionality. Ultimately, we're in the business of helping you all win The market has shifted quite a bit in the last couple of years, but with the right technology and the right systems and the right partners, we're confident we can be of help. Core to our philosophy at Sierra is enabling customer choice, right? And through that, we enable folks to have choice through our integration suite. And so we've been very deliberate and intentional with respect to, hey, who are the important point solutions out there or partner solutions out there that are highly complementary to Sierra, are going to really help our customers win, will only make the Sierra platform better. You see Sisu, Fellow, Shilo, others on that list, and we will continue to expand that list as the market evolves and as technology inevitably evolves. We don't own innovation at Sierra. We innovate ourselves, but we also want to make sure we're partnering with a lot of the great innovation that's happening around us. Artificial intelligence is top of mind for people regardless of industry these days. I think a lot of folks don't necessarily understand, hey, what is the right application for me? How can it help my business? For my money, Shilo is the single best application of AI in real estate today, and we'll walk through why we believe that. Justin has put together some technology that not only integrates really well with a CRM like Sierra, but enables sales coaching and agent accountability to be put on steroids. And so I'm going to hand it over to him now to talk through what is Shilo, why did he create Shilo, and then we'll segue into some real world use cases through Greg and Drew's experience over the last couple months.
Awesome. Well, Shilo, by the way, if anybody signs up for a demo on this call, you'll get 3 months, 25% off to give it a go here. So excited to kind of offer that to everybody. But the backstory, the origination story of Shilo was, at Bar Agency, what we're known for is building very complex solves for large real estate companies. And we had a very large team, the Levi Rogers team, about 1.5 years ago, reach out to us and say, he's got about 300 agents at any given point. And he said, hey, man, I am pretty tired of Zillow Flex coaches having all this incredible data on me and me not having any of that data. Can you use any of this new AI witch magic stuff I keep hearing about and get me some of that data? Is that possible? And I said, maybe. For those AI nerds that are out there, this was pre-GPT days. This is back when the models were called Gabbage and Da Vinci, like the original models. And we got to work on it. And a month later, we had a prototype spooled up, attached to a CRM, listening to every single call that happened and giving it a call grade, a summary, an outcome, and one-line agent coaching. And we thought, okay, maybe it's just another notch in Bar Agency's belt of something cool that we've built for somebody. But we watched his agents use it over 6 months, and some really interesting stuff started to happen. The first thing is Levi is a Green Beret Tier 2 operator, Purple Heart recipient. He is a military war hero, actually. And he rules that 300-person team in the way that you'd probably expect somebody like that to rule that team, with an iron fist. He does nothing happens there without him knowing about it. And we watched his sales managers go from a 30-to-1 ratio to a 60-to-1 ratio. And that was really interesting to me. So I reached out to Levi and said, what's up with that? What's going on? And he said, man, our sales managers, they would spend hours and hours just sitting inside of the CRM, listening through call recordings, trying to suss out exactly how to give coaching feedback, how to equip their agents to get better and better and better on the phones and communications with agents. And they literally don't have to do that anymore. They're doing that. Shilo's doing it automatically. So they get all of that time back every single day, where they can really get to the part that is most important, which is actually helping the agents get better and improving and being there for them, right? So that one was really interesting. The thing that really got us off the bench, though, to really think about building this thing was we thought originally that there was no way that a bunch of people would want to log into the platform. I mean, there's so many tools and everything like that to log into. We thought that maybe just sales leaders and team leaders would want to log into this thing. Well, 4 weeks into it, we found out we were absolutely wrong. his 300 real estate agents were like back channel communicating to us, trying to figure out how to get access to this data at all times, like just trying to sneak their way into it because their sales managers were showing it to them. And what was really cool about that is that we found out that it was way more fun to gamify quality of conversation than quantity of conversation. Because previous to that, the only thing that you could gamify at the top of the funnel for yourself would be just the total amount of calls that you made. It's the highest thing up the funnel, right? And what we found out is that gamifying the quality of conversation not only yielded in more calls, but it actually yielded in more appointments set. So over a 3-month span from when we rolled it out to his agents, although Levi was down 64% in lead flow, he actually went up 90% in total call volume and 99.1% in appointments set. So that was wild. So that at that point, I went to Levi and said, hey, this might be worth building for real. And he said, let's do it. And that made us embark on a year-long journey of downloading about 3 million hours of sales calls and training Shilo at a very intimate level to understand real estate and understand the intricacies of it and understand what is an iBuyer and understand how to reframe objections that clients are giving us. And more importantly, how to establish confidence. So Shilo and its call rating system, it's a scale from 1 to 5. Would it be worthwhile for me to like share my screen with this really quick, Peter?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Let me replace current share, go to my desktop. Okay, cool. So I'm logged into, this is Ryan Young's database. Drew Frost over there knows this one well. So this call rating here is what gives any kind of context to anything that exists in the system. And there's actually 3 different models. There's a core sales model. There's a customer service model that's better from kind of like mid-funnel down. And then there's a recruiting based model for those of you that are recruiting to either like maybe a downline at your brokerage or just recruiting to your team in general, right? But the core sales model is the one that gets used the most. So I'll just unpack that really quick. So it's a scale from 1 to 5. 1 to 2 means it needs improvement. 3 is satisfactory. So we actually don't panic at a 2.8. This is not bad. This is actually, they're a big organization. So we don't panic there. 4 is a great call. And 5 is you need to download it and train future team members with it because it only happens about 3% of the time. And the reason for that is because there's a myriad of things that Shilo takes into consideration with its assessment of call rating and its coaching that it gives back in return. But there's 3 things to generalize it that it cares about the most. The first thing is your ability to inspire confidence in that person that you're talking to on the other side of the phone. And that's more important now than ever, especially with buyer brokers rolling out and us actually having to convey our value as real estate agents. And I say like I'm a licensed real estate agent and I built a team in my past that spanned 3 states and sold about 1,200 houses every year. So I actually know what it's like to sell real estate. If we inspire confidence, then that creates trust. And if we have that person's trust, everything becomes easier from there on moving out, right? So that's priority number 1. The second thing it cares a whole lot about is your proficiency in handling objections and answering questions without being salesy or lying to people. Shilo will literally call you out if you say something that's not true. And then the third thing it cares a whole lot about is keeping sales momentum rolling forward with some kind of next step at all times, right? So 1 to 2 historically means that somebody failed at 1 or 2 or all 3 of those things. A 3, a satisfactory call, means that they checked off all 3 boxes, but there's still room for improvement. And normally those calls are a little bit like, hey, Peter, I'm going to shoot you these listings in a little bit. Let's just follow up next week and find a good time to look at some, right? As experienced salespeople that are on this call right now, like you guys know that those loose-ended follow-ups are not ideal. It's a very good way to get somebody to ghost you and you'll never find them ever again, right? So Shilo is going to give coaching directly to that agent on the call screen. I'll let Greg and Drew unpack that side of things, but it's going to give coaching back that says, hey, Justin, what you should have said was, hey, Peter, in about 15 minutes, I'm going to shoot you an email that's got a list of all these homes that we just talked about. And I'm wide open on Saturday. Let's just get a time on the calendar. Go look at your top 2 or 3 homes, right? Shilo's searching for a solidified next step because that is what's ideal for making sure that sales momentum continues to roll forward, right? And then that would historically move that example to a 4. And then the difference between a 4 and a 5 is all things neuro-linguistic programming, big fancy word for psychology of sales. So it's anchoring positive outcomes, reframing objections, matching the cadence of the person on the other side of the phone, managing your own emotional state as you go into that conversation. Shilo cares a whole lot about that. So if we pretend that Peter's like a first-time home buyer, the way I get that to a 5 is, and again, 5s are hard to get to, but they're not impossible. The reason why they don't happen that often is because most agents just stop it. Cool, see you on Saturday at 1 o'clock. But then they wonder, like, why am I getting no-showed? Like, why is this happening? Why aren't people actually showing up to my appointments? It's because you're probably not taking this last final step, which is, hey, Peter, I got us ready for 1 o'clock on Saturday. I'll send you a calendar invite here in a little bit, and excited to meet you, man. But honestly, more excited for you to understand what it feels like to move into a home and not be forced to repaint another wall in your entire life, or like patch some holes, and it's the first time you've ever done that. Pray to God you get your security deposit back. Like, moving into a place that's your own for the first time is honestly a really cool feeling. And I'm most excited for you to understand what I even mean by that. So I'll meet you on Saturday and we'll walk through all the next steps together. That's an example of positively anchoring the conversation to a much greater emotion, which will make them, it creates more trust, creates more confidence. You actually care about them, and probably they're going to show up that time, right? So that's the call grading scale. Any expansion? You guys tell me if I missed anything, Peter and panelists or anybody over there, or in the chat if you guys have anything for me. So good on your guys' side?
Think so.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, would probably be best is on top of it, it also records the call. Yes. So that question, the call recording, Shilo literally takes 5 minutes to stand up in your organization. So if there's any ops people in here that are watching a new technology and like sweating bullets that this is going to be some like 3-month take over your life implementation, it is not that. It legitimately takes 5 minutes. It's enter API key, configure the agents you want to listen to, configure the stages, and Shilo is done. It's stood up in your organization, and you're in full control of notifying agents on your team and giving them access whenever you feel like it's appropriate to give them access. So what ends up happening is that as soon as the call is completed in Sierra, we receive the call recording, and within 30 seconds, it gets processed by Shilo, and you get a bunch of really cool coaching feedback. So I think Greg had some examples of stuff that he wanted to pull up and show everybody, stuff that he's dug through that's been helpful for him and his team. So you cool to do that, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do that, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go take you to the main dashboard first, just so we can kind of show you some of the navigation of this. You know, we've been on this platform, I think, almost 2 months now. And, you know, within the first weeks, I noticed some things here, like the talk to listen ratio. It's been a definite issue, just even with myself and my own calls. And I'm kind of like a practice what you preach leader. So I'm just trying to utilize this type of feedback. But when we first started, it was much higher. So we are starting to slowly make some improvements where we are, you know, talking a little bit less. We are still talking too much right here. This is a clear indication that we need to be listening more, asking much better questions. Also, like he had said, reframing things. But I want to show you some live examples. I think that's probably like the best way to kind of see the program. And I've committed to this. Like, you know, I'm still a little bit in production, obviously in charge of managing the team. And I obviously need leverage in my organization to be able to really hold people accountable at a higher level. So when I saw this product, I was ecstatic about what it could do. But I want to show you some things. This is actually from a gentleman that we met at an open house last night. So Shilo does a couple things, and you can see here the call rating is a 4. Like he had said, 3% of calls are a 5. So I'm, you know, still have room for improvement. I can tell you that this gentleman actually is probably high on the disc chart. He's an ultra high D. Like he drives the conversation, he drives everything. So, and the interesting thing about that is, obviously, you've got a quick call summary here that breaks down exactly what he's looking for. I want to skip over to, obviously, there's a full transcription of the call. So instead of having to listen to the whole call, or you can kind of like jump in between and listen to certain portions, which is kind of nice. But then you've got your agent coaching. So I had met this gentleman, and it's crazy. I did say something about living the dream. You know, he asked me how I was, and I did actually use that. It was, you know, and I'm a big, I used to be like a long time ago, I used to be kind of like a basement leader who always would go and be like, correct. And the thing I like about Shilo is it does the most perfect thing, and it actually praises, then correct. So it really, it compliments you on what you did correct before it slams you in the face and say, you know, here's where we could make improvements. And we can talk about these improvements. I could have asked more targeted questions to clarify specific needs and preferences. As far as certain locations, this would have helped tailor the search. Following up with an email, you could enhance the call by setting a specific time. And we did, but we didn't solidify it. We did say that we're going to talk tomorrow, but as Justin was talking, I'm like, shit, that's why I didn't get a 5. I should have had the frickin' just book the calendar appointment right then and there. I had a calendar appointment for this call at 9:30. And if you would have looked in Sierra, you would have seen that I actually had a calendar appointment set up with them in Sierra for a call that was synced over to my Google Calendar for 9:30 this morning. And I called him right on the dot. This was also a live situation on this call this morning. He did talk about market timing, and I could have slammed a home run ball out of here. There's so many opportunities in the winter market, especially in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's not an ideal time for people to move, but that provides a massive opportunity to find sellers that are actually motivated. So I definitely dropped the ball on that. And that's the thing. Like, I always preach that, like, the moment I think I have this figured out, I get my ass kicked. And I do not want to get my ass kicked. And I don't want my team to get their butts kicked. So these are some improvements. The nice thing about this is I recently just got a new coach on the hiring side, and I'll show you an example of what we did on a recruiting conversation. But one of my favorite things that I've been experimenting a lot with this is the share button right here. And I can go to everyone with a link right here, and then I go save and copy this. And then I sent this over to my recruiting coach so that she can go and see every aspect of the call. Because really, she's got way more experience. We're not like trying to hire hundreds of people. We want to find quality talent that matches our culture and, you know, put jet fuel in them. But the collaboration part in this, but take this one step further. You know, we were talking about like finding those calls that are 5. It becomes incredible training bait. We have an intranet for our team and our company, and we have a bunch of recorded calls. We used to tag them in our CRM training, you know, so that we could pull up all the training calls and we download them and then move them into the intranet with a little bit of you know, description about the call. Now we can actually post these links into our intranet on all these different scenarios so that we can actually have real agents having great conversations and having our new people get really, really comfortable with that, which I think is super powerful. You know, 45 to 55% talking listen ratio. I'm getting better. I did ask for the appointment. Callback was requested. So this is still a 4. This is a reasonably good thing. The other really neat thing about Shilo, which is really, really cool, in the custom settings in the back end. So if you're on, like, let's say Zillow Flex, or if you're on OpCity or something, and they have like, they want you to talk about something, you can actually put the specific keyword in the back end of this Shilo program. And whenever that word is mentioned, you'll obviously have that. So we can see here that there was three periods of time where we talked about location. So I can one click go to right there.
Click over to the transcript real quick, Greg.
What was that?
Transcript. Click over the transcript tab so they can see it actually scoped down to just those moments where they talked about price. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, price. So like in real time, I mean, like, and these things come over pretty fast. But yeah, any of these keywords you can jump to. So if somebody was trying to, like, let's say you had a relationship with a lender who wasn't Zillow. Let's say you had a partnership and you wanted to see if your agents were actually trying to find opportunities for pre-approvals. You could obviously add the word pre-approval in here. That's actually one we probably should have on here. You can see some Zillow and showings and tours. But I'd like to show you an example. I've got 2 more examples I'd like to share.
Under yours.
I don't think this is the one. Okay. Let me just go back a little bit further.
Yeah, instead of your agent coaching page, you could potentially try to search the entire calls record there. Yeah.
Oh, you know why? Because I transferred over to him. So I know why.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is important because I want to save my team. So the way we hire people is we have a phone interview, then we decide if we want to send them a personality profile. Then we basically, now part of our process is we take this Shilo call and send it to the people that would be in our group interview so that they can approve of this before we offer a group interview, which is extremely important because we don't, if the 3 people in the group interview, if any of them feel like it's not a good fit for the culture, we stop the process right there. But I feel like this, incorporating them into the phone interview in a process where it's very quick and fast, instead of having to listen to a full 17-minute call. Obviously, this is a recruiting call, so it talks about my ability to build rapport, which has been a pretty consistent thing. I'm just pretty natural on the phone, but I definitely have some major opportunities for me to improve. And that's the thing, like you need to have that. You don't need more leads. You need to do a much better job on having the conversation, asking the right questions, and then actually listening. But it's crazy, like the amount of, the last example I'll show you is crazy because it's like, it knew I was driving, it knew I was rushed, it knew it was not a good call. And I'll show it to you because it's like, wow, it's like the fact that it knew that. You know, I had an opportunity here where he wanted to kind of start part-time. You know, I could have obviously worked on my persuasive techniques, but more importantly, I can take this and go send it over to my coach and have her review it as well and do the phone interview and be like, hey, because, you know, we were restructuring kind of the, you know, instead of just freeballing the phone interview and getting more dialed in on actually the cadence and the questions, that's what I'm trying to have her coach me on to make sure I'm really taking it down the right pathway, but also making sure we're not missing clear, you know, I've had probably 8 phone interviews, only 1 person has got a group interview in the last 2 weeks. So I want to make sure that I'm not missing something in those phone interviews so I can quickly go in here and save that and, you know, share that with my coach. The other nice thing is I know that, Justin, you're, you know, working on some things. One of the biggest things for me is the ability to get these summaries actually pushed into the CRM. This was something that I brought up to you right away. And I love tech companies that actually listen and work on it. I don't think it's fully there yet, but I've seen numerous examples. So I'm proud of you. I want to give you an attaboy. There is definitely some stuff coming into the Sierra CRM in the near future, which will definitely streamline this process even more.
It's about a week out. We are almost done testing it on your account. So about a week out, we'll be pushing all these call notes directly back into Sierra for you guys.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Think about the time my ISA writes books. My ISA has been with me for 9 years. He's an incredible human being. He does an incredible job. He writes the most detailed notes. And I said, imagine, and here's the funny thing. He's actually started to cut and paste Shilo into Sierra for the time being, because he's such a believer in putting good notes in. But the fact that he actually now trusts Shilo, and I'm telling you, this guy writes books and he's great. Like his notes are awesome. But think about how much time every little keystroke takes. Like I need him talking to more people. I need him making more calls. And then you think about it, like I have agents who don't put notes in there. Like even though you tell them to take notes in there, like go figure, somebody doesn't put notes in. Even I went on a listing appointment a couple of days ago, goes, hey, you didn't update the notes. And you're like, you were exactly right. I dropped the ball on that. Here, I'll show you the last one here.
Also, really quick before you go, yeah, click into one of those where you're going to go. If you hover over the call rating anywhere in the application, it's actually going to show you the model that was used to rate it, as well as like Shilo's reasoning for giving it that grade. So
it's really cool.
Yeah, Shilo's reasoning really is the like, what did Shilo see in this to give it a 3 and what could have gone better to get a 5, right? But the what a lot of the times for training purposes is not good enough because we need to know how do we actually do that. And that's that agent coaching tab that Greg has been spending time on. So
yeah, and yeah, so let's go look at this. So this was a conversation, I think it was last night. We had received an offer where the person had a home sale contingency and the person was selling a home in Illinois. We can go here and look at the agent coaching. Manage call environment. Greg mentioned he was driving, which may have affected his ability to provide precise information, ensuring distraction-free environment during calls, and clarity and professionalism. And I'll be honest with you, that call was pretty shitty. I mean, I could have done a much better job on that call. I have a great relationship with that customer, so I can get away with that to some degree, but it's still not the way it should have been handled. It should have been more polished. But the fact that plucked that out of there so rapidly is what I'm all about. And I just want to streamline, have better information. But I want to go back to this Matt call because I forgot to show the action items, because the action items blow my mind too. So here is all of the information that it pulled out of that call. 3,000 square feet, 25-minute drive from his office, expand the search to include areas like blah, 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 blah. I already emailed him a list. I've already got him on our app. See, it says download and use the app that shows only properties available to save time. I did actually text in the details of that Haler's Creek Road. Yeah, we actually, and then renovation, and then follow up with Matt tomorrow.
And this is part of the data that we'll be pushing back into the CRM directly for you guys. So
yeah, I mean, like, this streamlines so much for me and my team. But the real reason I wanted Shilo is because I don't have a ton of new agents, but I want to be able to actually, we do accountability meetings weekly. It's every 2 weeks with me, and then every other week with my ISA. So the reason we wanted Shilo, the biggest reason for me, was to actually be able to truly, I'll tell you right now, the majority of team leaders in the country have no idea what is actually being said on the phone, or most of them don't even care. And it would be even scary for some of them to see how their team is truly performing on phone calls. So it is a slow process for us, but Tina Audie right here is one of our newer agents. You can see her call rating is a 3.0. She's been with us since June. And I don't necessarily, I have a lot of tenure on my team, okay? I don't need to and I'm not gonna shove this down some of my senior team's things, but I'm gonna build up wins with our newer people based on this coaching from Shilo, so that I attract the senior agents slowly over time to really get into it. So I'm just gonna start praising people with Shilo in our meetings, and then the people that aren't using Shilo eventually will slowly bleed over to that. But Tina and Leo right here, you can see in the last 30 days, Leo made 33 calls, Tina made 89. Now, there are rules where if it's less than 45 seconds and if it's longer than 25 minutes, it's not going to count those calls. That's the way we have it set up. You have customized ability to change that. But my point is, Tina and Leo, and I'll tell you right now, and Leo, I could pull him in here and say, hey, if I asked you a question about what we've talked about in the last month, what would we say? Greg says we need to up activity. We need to make sure we're making more calls. It's clearly here. Now, his call rating is pretty good, but his volume of calls in the last 30 days, it's not good. If he's got some momentum, he's got 3 pendings right now. Everybody gets those peaks and valleys, right? And I can see when their call volumes start dipping, that I know that they're going to have a valley in their sales process. So that's why I wanted it, because I don't have a full-time sales manager. And at some point I may move to that model. But with this type of technology, it empowers me and also my ISA to look at these calls so we can work with them. And then the new agents do have access to the portal, because I want them to start slowly adopting it, like me and Justin had talked about in the beginning. But that's what I got. If there's any questions, I didn't really see.
Greg, I have a question for you. So to me, it's obvious that this tool would be a sales manager or an ISA leader's dream, right? But curious how your agents have responded, and how how you're choosing to roll this out in a way that optimizes for kind of uptake and understanding, and getting them to believe that this is actually fundamentally a really good thing for them.
It really all comes down to starting with the newer people, because that's where I really feel like we need to have that extra accountability on them. And I think that how we'll slowly get adoption is kind of what I had said, where once we get some wins in team meetings and we actually use Shilo as a way to actually dissect this and really talk about what made this call great and where we're missing potential opportunities, I need to attract them. We've done a lot of tech adoption in the last 14 years, and I've gotten pretty good at it. And I've also done it the complete wrong way of shoving it down their throats. And me and Justin, that was one of my key questions when I talked to Justin, because Justin was like, hey, the sales managers are going to want this, but I'm slowly giving agents portal access. And even some of my seniors, the ones that I feel really want to get a little extra coaching, want to improve, I'm slowly bleeding in there. But I need wins to happen from this. And I use those wins to attract the other people who maybe aren't as interested in it into that. And then I think as things evolve long term, I think the culture of the companies, we want to have a culture of company that everyone wants to be on this type of, like, you've got me critiquing my own calls about the stuff that I did wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that helps. That definitely helps in driving credibility. Drew, what's your perspective or experience on that question?
It's interesting because I do have I run a team of ISAs. Our company is all US based, but our ISAs are some in the office with me, some are virtual, and some are we're in all different databases, right? Where we partner with a lot of teams. And so this has helped me to keep, track of things as far as the agents and getting their engagement. What's been cool is it's just giving the feedback, but also putting them in the right position to hit the home run and then having them ask me why. So one of the biggest, or how did I know this, right? So one of the biggest tools that are features that I'm using is being able to go in and put my ISAs or my agents on the right path. I can tell which agents and which ISAs are executing which lead sources at the highest level. I know that if I'm at 4 minutes or less, our average call rating is X. And as soon as I hit 4 minutes, our average call rating goes to 3.8. So this is also really easy for me when we talk about newer agents or newer ISAs. They all want these benchmarks when we're prospecting. How do I get on when I get on the phone? How do I know if I'm winning, Peter? Like, how do I know if I'm winning? I just made 50 dials, only 2 people answered the phone, right? This is a really great way to give them those early wins and that early adoption of like, oh, I'm seeing success through Shilo. I'm seeing success through prospecting. And that's been an amazing adoption, for all of our ISAs and a lot of our partners and their agents as well. So we really are focused in right now on using the specifics. For me, again, this is from an ISA standpoint, and I take the stance that our job as ISAs is not actually to lead generate. It is the job of the rainmaker to do lead generation. So you can partner with Sierra and you can partner with Fellow and some of these other great things, and you can generate leads. It is our job as ISAs and agents to convert those leads. And so again, using this technology to better understand where can I put the people into the right places. We have a lead generation schedule for our ISAs every day. I have ISAs that only focus on incoming leads, only focus on outgoing leads, and then only focus on database management, database hygiene, cleanup, re-engaging the database, which is where we should be spending most of our time anyway. It's where all of the gold is. It's sitting in your database and you just got to go get it. And so when I start dividing these ISAs out, how do I know if Billy or Joe or Bob is the best at A, B, or C? I start watching their Shilo scores. I start really seeing who is handling those incoming calls and those objections the best versus the FSBO calls, the expired calls, etc. So for us, this tool, the time saving cannot be understated. The agents getting off of a call and going, that was a 5-star, and then logging in and it was a 4-star. And just the excitement in the office. We do monthly goals, right? We've got the big whiteboard. We fill in the circles every time we set appointments. We have goals for quality conversations, the amount of dials that we make, the amount of appointments we set. We have held to set ratio goals. We have Shilo goals now, right? Like we have goals on that. We are getting ready to roll out within the young team. Ryan has put together an amazing contest. He's rolling out for all the ISAs. It's going to span 60 days. We're keeping track of points. You get bonus points based on your Shilo scores, right? And so it's just gamified so much that agents are just diving in. It also, like I said, is really cool when we can put people on the right path and say, Peter, I know that because you are so good with people that have this or that, first-time home buyers or people that have been looking in the past and had bad experiences or whatever, I can put you into specific places into the database and say, hey, go call these leads for a week and report back to me. And when you have wild success, you're like, man, how did you know that? And I knew about it because I've been watching you in the back end on this system called Shilo. Let me show it to you. Then when I show it to them, they're like, how do I get access? And it's instant buy-in. It's very easy. So questions around that?
I love it. I mean, kind of initially, I see some like notes about like scoreboard gamification, things like that. Definitely on the dashboard that you guys have seen over and over again here. I'll show it to you. This refreshes every 2 minutes automatically, right? So if you guys had a call night, you could go just click on today, and this is going to update the leaderboards. Everything's going to update live in front of you as you're doing that. But the gamification side of things, like, and also time savings is, I don't know, we go to Wes, we go to his overview over here. We see lots of really great stats on like what Wes has done in the past 30 days, or we could look at 90 days or custom date frames, whatever. But 183 calls, nobody has enough time to listen through all of those calls. It's like, it's literally impossible, right? But Shilo sure did. So it makes it really fast just to go, all right, let's look at Wes's 1 to 2 calls. He's got 48 of them there. It's his most common lead source he's struggling with, like expired, sure. Let's just pull the list of expired calls here, and ta-da, we're face to face with just those calls he struggled with the most. So that saves a ton of time. I'll go for it.
And I do a lot of this at like midnight, 1 a.m., which I'm sure a lot of you guys are understand, right? Like we get through our workday and then I'm trying to go home and like put together my coaching notes for my calls the next day. I used to have to go in and listen to all these calls, and now it just took me 4 clicks, right? And here I am. It's huge.
What's fun is that like this, I love that this saves a bunch of time. Me as a product person, I've honestly been annoyed for the past 3 months that I even have to tell you to start poking through these calls and then like digest it yourself. So in about 30 days, there's going to be a Shiloh's Insights button that shows up right here where you can click that. It could be 4 calls. It could be 400 calls. Shiloh will read through all of those calls in an instant, and it's going to give you the top moments and the top areas for improvement over that entire mass of calls. So you can get the high level coaching that you're looking for as a real estate agent or as a team leader. And we're also going to roll that out to the org level. So that way on the org page for admins and team leaders, they can come in here and go, let's just see how the entire company is doing over this one lead source or this one stage or this one type of call. Click Shiloh's Insights, and Shiloh's going to give you the top moments and top improvements over all of that. So that's.
Can I comment on that real fast before you move
Yep.
on? Do you care?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go for it, man.
This is really big though too, as far as like, you know, people wanting to coach themselves. One of the time-saving opportunities that has been massive to me is, you know, we do scheduled script and role plays with all of our ISAs. We have scheduled team meetings, all the things that everybody does, right? And a lot of times I find myself as a leader going over the same objection handlers every single meeting, answering the same questions. This gives when I tell you that the ISAs and the agents are excited, they are excited to get in and not just look at the ratings, but they are hovering over those stars like Justin showed earlier and looking at, why did I get a 3 instead of a 5? What could I have done better? And I'm seeing them, you know, it's no longer, you know, their coach or the supervisor or the sales director giving them that feedback. It's Shiloh. There's no emotion here. It's not somebody you work with every day that you also share a wall with or an office with. It's an independent person or Shiloh, right? It's AI saying, hey, this is what you could have done better. And I'm noticing that they're taking that feedback and applying it without even having to come and ask questions. So it's just a huge deal as far as the buy-in from everybody.
Yeah. And also like on the customer service side, the kind of coaching and feedback that it gives. The reason we created the customer service model is because kind of in the settings, you can see that you can actually apply different models to the different kind of pipeline stages in Sierra, right? So for prime and pending, they have customer service selected. So what's cool about that is that the reason we created it is because in the very beginning, we realized that agents were unnecessarily getting punished when they were mid funnel and below. Like, I don't know, I'm talking to Mallory about her seller disclosures, and Shiloh's like, the best I'm going to give that is a 3 is because you should have set an appointment on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Chill, Shiloh, not necessary anymore. So this customer service model downgrades that and instead replaces it with making sure that you explain what's happening next, you give them the opportunity to ask questions, and then they confirm that they understand what's happening next. And the kind of coaching feedback that will happen is going to be slated towards that. So you're going to see things like enhance active listening skills, use more empathetic language. The coaching, the grading, the conversation shifts at that threshold. So we allow you guys to have that in your, it's up to you where you guys assign that. So
So it's also big for the automations. If you guys are using automations in Sierra at a really high level, we use so many automations. I have 11 different automations that we literally update every single day based on our lead source schedule, on top of all the ones that are set in standard, right? And like making sure again that when a lead that is sitting in a pond somewhere re-engages with a specific outreach effort or whatever, or your database in whatever way, making sure that when that lead re-triggers, it is going to the most capable person in our organization for the quickest speed to lead response. That's also been a game changer, because those automations have been such a huge deal in Sierra to get these leads refunneled and back in front of someone. Now with Shiloh's integration and capability, like I've said before, I'm making sure that the best ISA is calling the lead as quickly as possible. So that's been really cool too.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Drew. Super great. And one fun little, I'll hint to you guys, we have been working long and hard for almost 6 months now on a role play feature that you'll be able to role play calls with Shilo, but we are taking a different stance at it. I do not agree that it should be like a sign call bot that is kind of the same role play over and over and over again. You could have 10 different sign calls and 10 of them will be completely different with different objections, things like that. So what we're going to be instituting is on every individual call, you'll be able to click a button that says role play this call, and Shilo is going to ingest that. This will be in your guys' hands by the end of the year. It's almost done. It's in our dev environment right now. It's going to ingest the entire call and allow you to role play that exact same call all over again. So that way you can see if you can improve on it, right? And it will force you to be dynamic based on each call and role play session. And those role plays will show up inside of your agent coaching profile, and it'll have a list of like the previous call that you role played and here. And what's really great about that is, like, say you want to do that as an entire organization, you could share the link with everybody, go ahead and give that to everybody. And now everybody in your organization can role play that one specific call all together and see if we can improve and share best practices across the organization. The only reason we haven't rolled it out sooner is because like latency has been an issue in AI bots it just doesn't feel human communicating with them. And our mentality over here at Shilo is not first, but best at all times. And I'm unwilling to let a product roll out inside of the platform that doesn't feel like it was perfectly executed. And that thing finally rolled out about 17 days ago. OpenAI created a real-time model where it can ingest voice to voice, and it is in real time now. There is no latency. So we've just been waiting for that to show up, and now we're tying a bow on it, and we'll get into your guys' hands before the end of the year. So cool. What's next, Mallory, Peter?
Justin, there were a couple questions that flowed through. One was around the ability to have bullet pointed notes as opposed to free-form text. Is that a possibility? Is that on the roadmap? How do you guys think about that?
You're thinking kind of around like the call summaries, basically, instead of it being a box of text, just have it be bullet pointed. We've actually been A/Bing that a little bit to see what would be best for people. So that is on our horizon. We're just getting a little bit of user feedback. We have a few accounts that's actually turned on for right now that we're trying to see if it's easier to engage that way, or if we should instead shorten the amount of text that's in there to like 300 words or less to give a much more concise snapshot instead. So yeah, I'm open to that, and we're malleable, and I'm open to all of that feedback. Whenever we get feedback like that, we have a really great infrastructure to test those ideas with people before we roll it out to make sure that it's actually what people are going to use. So
great. There's another one. I'm trying to find it around keywords and whether or not that's like within the power of the end user to determine or play with.
Yep.
Yeah, so you guys can enter manual keywords whenever you want on the back end. Any keywords, phrases, things like that you want, you can do that, and Shilo will listen along. We do not allow keywords to be considered in the call rating. And the reason why is because of RESPA reasons. We do not want people to be directing and grading their calls based on keywords that are in there. We actually want to protect you against that. So if you ever got your door knocked on that, it's like, okay, cool. We're actually monitoring it to make sure that we're being RESPA compliant is what we're doing here. And if I allowed people to do that, I think some people would get in trouble with it. So
Good one just came through, Justin. How would you articulate kind of the differences between Shilo and Raya?
Well, extremely different products. So
yeah, very different.
Raya is reaching out via text message and voice call and things like that, trying to convert leads on your behalf. Shilo doesn't do any of that currently. I guess maybe we could be convinced one day, but right now, what we are building at Shilo, we're very product focused on building the best AI sales coach that exists in the marketplace. I already have a prototype on this phone where I could walk into a listing appointment and say, hey, would it be okay if my AI note taker takes some notes? We record that entire conversation, give coaching and feedback on those invisible portions, all in preparation for the fact that like Greg's glasses in the next, at least in the next 5 years, are going to be like AR enabled glasses. We want Shilo ready to install on that form factor. So Shilo can literally just sit on your shoulder and go with you everywhere and coach you and give you tips on how to become better and convert and serve your clients better. So that's really our product focus. So.
Can you imagine that, Greg? Shilo powered eyeglasses.
Yeah. Well, all in.
It sounds like even 2 years ago, that would have sounded like an outlandish idea. And now it's like Meta already came out with a version of those glasses. They just, they showed them off like a month ago, basically. So like it is coming for us. It is. So.
And Justin, on the keyword front, there was a question that came in around the concept of like synonyms. So do you need to type in basically explicitly every keyword you want, or will derivatives of those words also get picked up?
Yeah, we're not pulling derivatives yet. It's hard to encapsulate that because, well, an AI knows every synonym that exists on the planet, and it could get out of control basically really fast. So I think that that's a really great idea, but right now the way that it works is that it's explicitly what you put there. So when we put in keywords, we're always looking for the lowest common denominator. Like instead of bedrooms, put in bed, because that'll catch beds and bedrooms, for example. If it's an entire phrase like Zillow home loans, for example, maybe pick lowest common denominator, which is Zillow, to catch those. So.
Yeah, makes sense. And so, bunch of questions around price. How should folks be thinking about that? And then I think, after you answer that question, we can flash the QR codes that will enable, folks to book a demo.
Yeah, so pricing is straightforward. It's usage based. It's not a per user seat situation, which happens to be much better, we found out, because it's aligned with our clients' interests ultimately. If we do what we promise we're going to do, which is inspire you guys as a team or even as individual agents to make more phone calls and more quality phone calls, you'll probably use more, which is great, because if you use more, yeah, great. You pay Shilo more, but the difference between costs is like $400 to like jump tiers of pricing that will disappear on your P&L guaranteed if you're making an additional 20 hours of calls on a monthly basis, right? So pricing starts at 10 hours. That's the first bucket of calls. So it's based on the amount of hours that you guys place. It's pretty easy in Sierra to find it. You can go to your dialer dashboard, and that gives you, just pull a 30-day window inside of there, and it'll give you your total time down at the bottom to be able to kind of compute how much, where you fall into that. But it starts as low as $199 a month for 10 hours and kind of moves up from there, from 10 to 20 to 50 and then 100, and then it moves up in 100 increments from there. So the cool thing as well is that the way that it's configured is you don't actually have to turn on everybody at once. If you just want to try out Shilo and you got a team of 400 agents or something like that, well, you could just turn on a couple people to listen to and start at tier 1 and just see if you like it. It makes it very lightweight. And then you're in full control on the usage panel. You can see what your usage is in real time, and you can upgrade and downgrade plans mid-month, and it'll prorate you backwards and credit your account if you downgrade, or if you upgrade, it will prorate you forward. So that way there's no money lost going up and down. And there's no long-term contracts with Shilo. Anybody can cancel whenever they want. So.
Perfect. Mal, you want to flash those slides before everyone breaks?
Yeah, sure. So as Justin was saying earlier, if you would like the 25% off for 3 months, make sure you scan this QR code, get in touch with Shilo, get all of your questions answered, and then get a quote for what you could be paying for them. And then, of course, If you would like more information on Sierra Interactive, we also have a QR code here. We have the link below it as well. If you're not able to access these, don't worry. We are going to be sending this recording out post webinar, and then we will also make sure that we're sending the QR codes and the links that go along with them in a follow-up email. So if you're not able to collect those during this time, don't fret. We'll be sending those out soon.
Yeah, sorry, ignore the link that I just put in there. Apparently that's not the right one, and I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I'm gonna find it and I'll make sure it gets into everybody's hands here. So
Yes, and I think I have it as well, Justin. So
found the correct one here. I guess it took into consideration capitals. So there we go. Yes, it does work in Canada as well, and 15 plus languages. We've got a bunch of people in Calgary and places that speak like 7 different language on one single team. So rest assured you're covered in that use case.
Yep. And Monica, this is direct integration, and we're continuously working towards how we can make the kind of combined experience better and better. Justin said earlier today, I think we're very soon going to be pulling back in the call notes directly into Sierra, and there's a lot more we can do with this. So the platforms are just so highly complementary, and the two paired make each platform just so much more valuable, which is why we're so excited about this.
We're excited too.
Yeah. Well, Drew, Greg, Justin, thank you guys. Thanks everybody else for joining. And we will distribute a call recording to all registrants. If you missed the QR code, we'll make sure we'll make sure you get in the right hands, and we'll go from there.
Wait, Xavier said, "Wait, IT question." We're you got like 30 seconds, Xavier. It's 10:59, maybe.
All right.
Post the question later. And
we can't open the page. All right, well, Xavier, we'll follow up with you, man. We'll make sure that you get what you need.
Perfect.
All right, thanks everybody.
All right, see you guys.